Bola Ahmed Tinubu Youth Orientation Network, BATYON, presents our first inaugural conference. Theme: Nigeria's Democracy, Identity and Power, Building a Youth-Centric Future. Guest speaker: Honorable Christopher Godwin, Akaba, Senior Special Assistant to the Executive Governor of Borno State on Jobs Creation and Youth Entrepreneurship. Venue: Ground floor, LCCI Conference Center, Nuruddin Olowowe, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos. Date: August 3rd, 2022. Time: 10 a.m. prompt. BATYON, Youths for Asiwaju, Asiwaju for Youths.
A very good afternoon to the DG, BATYON, and all other invited guests. Let me please stand on the already established protocol. I overheard someone saying that I'm a Maiduguri man. All the same, some people call me an Hausa Uroboman. Of course, that's the diversity that we have been talking about as a people and as a nation. I would like to please crave your indulgence to please pardon my accent. Please pardon my accent. I speak like a Hausa man. Yes, 4 decades, over 4 decades in the north as an Urobo man. You understand? Let me start by quoting from one of the famous authors of our time, John Quincy Adams. If your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And that is what the Asiwaju Tinubu's Shetima's ticket represents. For natural justice sake, it is morally justifiable on me to give praise to whom it is due. I want to most sincerely commend and congratulate the Bola Youth Orientation Network BATYON on its first historic inaugural conference. I also want to thank the organizers for allowing me to be the keynote speaker at this important event to discuss the theme, Nigeria's Democracy, Identity and Power, Building a Youth-Centric Future. Long time ago, a wise man who goes by the name Nelson Mandela once quoted, "Youths of today are the leaders of tomorrow." Without any doubt, the youths are the whole of our future. They are the building blocks of any country. Hence, their role in nation building cannot be overemphasized. It is only the intelligence, talent, and hard work of the youth that will catapult the country on the trajectory of success. Our energy and enthusiasm are capable of bringing the social reform that we seek in our society today. Any nation that looks down on its youth is bound to fail. Furthermore, the nation requires youth participation to achieve its developmental goals. We see how the development of any country requires active participation from the youth. Therefore, the role of the youth is a sine qua non for the success and growth of a nation. It does not matter which field we want to progress in, whether it is a technical field or sport field or politics. Youth is needed on all fronts. We must therefore sensitize all the youths on the awareness of this power that we have and the role it has to play in our collective efforts in nation building. When Ms. Tomisi Ojo first intimated me about being the keynote speaker at this inaugural conference of BATYON, I unhesitantly accepted the offer. This is because of my unadulterated conviction that an Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency, with that of my political mentor, Senator Kashim Shettima, as his running mate, will usher in the desired political climate that the country needs for its rapid socio-economic growth and development. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima have what it takes to move Nigeria to the promised land. I will be dwelling on that later, but before I do that, ladies and gentlemen, let me briefly tell my story to this beautiful gathering about how my political mentor Kashim Shettima, a Borno Kanuri Muslim, discovered and made me an Urobo Christian from Delta State in South Nigeria. My journey to political greatness started in Borno State in 2011 during the electioneering campaign period. At that time, I was self-employed, a businessman managing my business enterprise. I had a laptop and a few desktops. Wait a minute. It wasn't that Yahweh stuff. I had a laptop and my desktops, few desktops that I used for my daily business in a rented shop and in a strategic business location that was eventually surrounded by Boko Haram members. At some point during the 2009 Boko Haram insurrection in Maiduguri, the state capital, my entire office area became a war zone and a no-go area. My billboard was pulled down by the rampaging Boko Haram members because it carried a human logo that they didn't like. My brand name at that time was Mr. Computer. People call me Mr. Computer. I'm a master of my art. I had this very large billboard with computer, the design of a computer with two large eyes, large nose, and a long tie that depicted me as Mr. Computer. If you go to Maiduguri today, ask of Mr. Computer, and the first thing that will come to your mind is me. So when they saw this billboard, it did not conform to their ideology, so they came up and pulled down. By then, all of us have scampered for safety. At that time, as a businessman, I was also fully engaged in the local politics of my town union. I was the president of the youth wing of Progressive Union, UPU, Borno State chapter. So combining business with town union politics was an exhilarating experience for me. Due to the nature of my business brand name, I just told you Mr. Computer, which became a household name, and the perfection with which I execute my job to my clients, politicians from all political parties do flock into my office to have their jobs perfectly done. I was a guru in my trade, and that exposed me to different politicians and their political ideologies. When therefore Kashim Shettima became the Borno governorship candidate of the defunct All Nigeria People's Party, ANPP, in 2011, I came across his manifestos and I told myself outright that yes, this is the man that better understands Borno and Nigeria. A man who needs a critical moment. Talking about Borno's critical moment, at that time Borno State was undergoing its worst security challenges occasioned by the wanton destructions of lives and property of citizenry by Boko Haram members. Boko Haram members were having a field day, intimidating maiming and killing innocent citizens in broad daylight within Maiduguri city. The political class was also not spared, as some notable politicians were assassinated, while big-time politicians and small-time politicians like myself also went underground for fear of the unknown. Borno was almost becoming an Afghanistan. Borno therefore needed a messiah, a visionary, purposeful and talented leader that had a clear idea on how best to navigate the state out of its security conundrum. Of all the contestants that presented themselves to the public in the 2011 governorship election in Borno State, Kashim Shettima uniquely stood out. The phrase for Shettima's campaign slogan represents challenge, possibility, ability, and opportunity in social, political, and linguistic domains. Shettima was 45 years old when he became governor, the youngest among the governors at that time. Reading through his manifestos at my business center, reading through his vision statement, it was at that time that I was convinced Kashim Shettima was the God-sent leader to help Borno State out of her current security challenges at that time. I was also convinced that Shettima had a youth-centric disposition, as I got to learn from friends that as a manager with Zenith Bank PLC, he had inspired quite a handful of young people that he has come across and had equipped them to work for a better world and life. If you graduated with a first class, Kashim Shettima will grab you immediately and give you a job. Thanks also to the internet, which greatly assisted Kashim Shettima in reaching across to the youth and discovering a pool of talents among them. Before he emerged as Borno governor, the social networking site Facebook was gradually being known among the Borno populace. That was around 2011. For a few of us that were conversant with Facebook tool at that time, it therefore became handy for some of us to use social media, the Facebook, to sell the candidacy and political manifesto of Kashim Shettima to the Borno public and beyond. Like many other youths, my activity on social media caught the attention of Kashim Shettima. Unknown to me and many others, Kashim Shettima was following us on Facebook, reading our comments and suggestions on how to make Borno great. He was also taking notes of all positive contributions as well as positive criticisms. And so, when Kashim Shettima eventually won the election and was sworn in, I got a phone call from someone whom together we have worked tirelessly on social media to promote Kashim Shettima. He told me to provide my personal details. He asked if I've been using a pseudonym on Facebook, and I said no, that my name still remains Christopher Godwin Akaba. For my Urobo people here, I learned there are some delegations from Delta State. My Urobo name is Ogenenyero. Ogenenyero means God has answered your prayers. Then he said to me that Governor Kashim Shettima asked him to confirm my true personal identity. This is because at that time there were so many people on Facebook attacking and insulting Kashim Shettima and us using fake accounts. While our social media campaigns were focused on issues-based debates, our opponents were engaging in campaign of calumny and propaganda. Their biggest weapon was to hurl all forms of verbal assaults, missiles at us. A few days after our conversation, I had my name on the television, appointed as special assistant to Governor Kashim Shettima. When I collected my appointment later, a few days later, I noticed I was posted to work directly under the office of Governor Kashim Shettima. He also granted me express permission to walk into his office anytime I wanted to see him. In appointing and giving me all this privilege, Kashim Shettima looked beyond my religion and identity as an Robo man and a non-indigent. Instead, he believed that I possessed the competence and capacity to positively contribute my quota to the state. In fact, Kashim Shettima had on many occasions frowned at the use of the word non-indigents in reference to us. According to him, he doesn't see us as non-indigents, but sons and daughters of Borno State. Apart from me, Kashim Shettima had also appointed an Igbo Christian from Anambra State as his special advisor on community relations, and 3 other southern non-indigents as special assistants. A Yoruba man from Kwara State, an Igala man from Kogi, as well as an Edo man. His media advisor, Isa Kusau, is also from Zamfara State, while his SSA on new media and his current PA, Ishak Ningi from Bauchi State, and also a Fulani man from Gombe State, were also in his cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, when Kashim Shettima was living as governor after his 8-year tumultuous tenure in Borno State, the current governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, again found me worthy and reappointed me as a senior special assistant on job creation and youth empowerment. This is my brief story. My story as an Urobo man, a Christian granted an opportunity by Senator Kashim Shettima in 2011, connects with the theme of this conference. It reminds us that whereas our identity can be a factor in race to political opportunities in democracy, identity is less important to people like Senator Kashim Shettima, who, as we all know, shares this kind of ideology with his goals, and by God's grace, the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed. Here in Lagos, Asiwaju from 1999 to 2007, in forming his cabinet, assembled good brains from diverse ethnic groups and religious identities. Of course, there are those trying to ignore Asiwaju's political antecedents, but his can only be told differently. However, the facts of every history remains what they are. Of course, there is no denying the fact that at the moment, there is a growing and widespread disillusionment with democracy in Nigeria. This is a matter of the most urgent and absolute concern. Hence, the only way this can be addressed is if our politicians perceive democracy as a system that solves citizens' problems, specifically jobs creation and youth empowerment. This requires tackling the governance shortcoming that prevents citizens from directly participating in the democratic process. Some of these shortcomings are entrenched youth unemployment, which is attributed to our current security challenges nationwide, feeble representative institutions, and the hyper-centralization of power. There is a growing political malaise throughout the country, in which citizens, precisely the youth, are both frustrated and angry with the political elites, as well as skeptical that the next election will usher in the same breed of political leadership. Unemployment is one of the most serious problems confronting Nigeria today, like many other countries in the world. It poses a threat to our current democracy. Solution measures are constantly being taken to address rising youth unemployment, yet the problem persists. Consequently, youth unemployment in Nigeria is a time bomb waiting to explode if effective interventions are not put in place to mitigate the unsavory impact of this hydra-headed monster called unemployment. My paper therefore establishes a link between building a youth-centric future and youth unemployment if adequate attention is focused on the creation of the enabling socio-economic and political environment that can galvanize a culture where the youth think of job creation away from the mindset of job seekers. This paper proposes a vigorous reorientation to embrace a tested culture of honesty, creativity, hard work, as well as the nobility of character, and for the youth to have a sense of belonging towards nation building. As we are yearning for more, we need someone that can bring out that zeal through good policies to move the nation forward. Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima have proven over time and have been reputed to be talent horns in all critical sectors of the economy, as well as youth development and empowerment, based on their antecedents, as they are always driven by youth yearnings and aspirations. As a senior special assistant to Kashim Shettima and the current governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Azulum, I can authoritatively attest among millions of Nigerians who are living testimonies of the Tinubu and Shettima's passionate drive towards youth development. What the Nigerian youths can expect from Tinubu Shettima presidency based on their track records. Elections in Nigeria are held after every 4 years, but unfortunately, one issue Nigeria has had to contend with leading to every election is the lack of issue-based campaigns or debates. I had earlier spoken about my personal experience when we started a campaign for Kashim Shettima on social media in 2011. While our campaign on social media focused on issues-based debates, our opponents were engaging in the campaign of calumny and propaganda to demarcate our candidate before the public. It is already 7 months left to the 2023 general election, and all that has been debated by our youth on social media, Twitter, and now Meta, is zoning, religion, propaganda, and manipulated videos to discredit the opponents. This is an unfortunate scenario that sets a bad precedent for our nation and democracy. According to Dapo Thomas, 2022, he said in an era where Twitter has become the main source of news, studies show that false news stories are 70% more likely to be retweeted than true stories. And it also takes true stories about 6 times as long to reach 1,500 people as it does for false stories to reach the same number of people. The desire for facts and research is somewhat absent on social media. My fellow BATYON, let's shine our eyes as we move towards 2023. In the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, I can very much affirm that Nigeria boasts of world-class capacity builders committed to helping young people fulfill their potentials in no distant time. For these vital services to impact the majority of people, the Nigerian youth must organize themselves and rally behind those technocrats who over time have proven the capacity to equip job seekers with the right skills needed to land their dream job. In this connection, Bola Tinubu's dynamism, sagacity, and progressive leadership style as governor of Lagos State, as well as his positive counseling to various governments in the years after, have proven as potent drivers of economic growth and prosperity. There is no denying the fact that one of the economic challenges that Nigeria has had to contend with, or Nigeria will be contending with as soon as the Tinubu Shettima presidency constitution in 2023, God's willing, is creating jobs fast and large enough to match our exploding population growth. Oftentimes, the multiplication of jobs in the economy is overshadowed by the fact that new entrants into the economy overwhelms the development. There is also the problem of power generation, petrol subsidy, and incessant strike action by university lecturers and so on. Strike action in Nigeria did not start today. Let us tell those people using this strike action as a weapon against us that strike action did not start in Nigeria today. One of the presidential aspirants just 3 days ago tweeted about the current strike action in case the embargo from by us. But he tweeted on Twitter, but immediately Nigeria started attacking him that when he was governor in his state, there was 6 months strike by lecturers in the state. I don't want to mention him. He immediately pulled down that tweet. This happened 2 days ago. So if they tell you that strike, although it's unfortunate, but it did not start today. This is where the Bola Tinubu master plan is needed, particularly to build on the foundation laid by his administration while as governor of Lagos State. We will not easily forget that as the governor of Lagos, especially at the time the state had to cope with a large influx of Nigerians, young Nigerians from all the length and breadth of the country, Tinubu opened up the Lagos economy, pursued and implemented creative coalitions, and recalibrated government to focus on creating the enabling and conducive environment for private capital attraction and growth. His perspicacity, foresight, and dynamic leadership set Lagos on a path that firmly established its position as a leading economic state in the country and Africa. While as governor of Lagos, Bola Tinubu's robust economic policies led to the growth of the state's internally generated revenue, IGR, from 600 million to 5.5 billion generated monthly at the end of his tenure. This happened with the aid of the sound economic team that he had put in place. In 2017, Lagos output was put at 136 billion US dollars, according to official statements, and more than a third of Nigeria's gross domestic product. On electricity generation, as Lagos Governor Bola Tinubu sponsored the first independent power project, IPP, for the state. The project inception generated 90 megawatts, which improved the electricity supply in Lagos. The project was the first time a state government created electricity. No doubt, the Tinubu presidency can replicate the Lagos wonder to tackle Nigeria's current power crisis. On fuel subsidy, over the years, the removal of fuel subsidy has been on the front burner of national discourse in Nigeria. The continuous payment of subsidies on petrol has continued to affect the revenues of Nigeria and recently put the country into debt as our fuel imports now supersede our crude exports. Different administrations have attempted to remove subsidies, but the social contract and political implications to see it through have proven a serious bottleneck. Tinubu, a former Mobil oil executive, has over time or over the years shown the political will to unease negotiations if the trade-off will lead to the long-term prosperity of the state. But his track record points to him being a part of Buy Nigeria, a movement that warned the past federal government against subsidy removal owing to the dangers it continues to do to the Nigerian people. On education, Tinubu as governor of Lagos State, in line with Chief Obafemi Awolowo's vision for free primary education, activated the provision of free qualitative education in all public, primary and secondary schools, irrespective of whether they are Igbos, Niger Deltas, Yorubas, or Hausas, including the payment of WAEC and NECO fees, as well as all internal examination fees to ensure that children do not drop out of school. He returned the Christian missionary schools to their original owners. He also oversaw the upgrading of schools in the state and some into model colleges. He would later become the first governor to fully initiate and execute payment of bursary scholarship allowances to all tertiary institution students in Lagos State. On the current strike action embarked upon by us, strikes from university lecturers have become a scourge in the Nigerian educational system. There have been sustained strike actions since the return to democracy rule in 1999, and according to reports, ASU has spent 1 day out of 4 days on strike in the last 6 years. ASU has spoken out about the lack of investment in tertiary institutions and several other issues bordering welfare and financing. In 2006, as governor, Bola Tinubu injected 1 billion naira into the Lagos State University, and despite being out of office, he has made several contributions to the Lagos State University. One of his lasting legacies is the establishment of the Lagos State University College of Medicine, LASUCOM, in 1999. He also oversaw the full accreditation of the course in 2005 by the NUC, and LASUCOM remains one of the best colleges of medicine in Nigeria. Amongst Tinubu's achievements while also as governor of Lagos State is the reform he brought to the civil service, reduction of endemic corruption in the public sector through the elimination of direct cash payments to government, as well as the implementation of corruption reduction strategies, notably with the introduction of a payroll system that removes thousands of ghost workers from the system. Tinubu was the first to attempt such feat in the country, and today, many state governments in the Federation have adopted the Tinubu payroll model to weed out ghost workers from the system. That is not all. Tinubu also improved incentives for civil servants, including salary increases and improving quality and hygiene working environment for Lagosians. He also brought back expert rates to improve the transportation and health system in Lagos. During his tenure as governor of Lagos State, Tinubu increased the budgetary allocation to the health sector from 1.6 billion in 1999 to 11.8 billion in 2006. This represents over 1,000 increase in 7 years. He established a free malaria healthcare scheme which saw children aged 12 years and below and adults aged 7 years and above get free malaria treatment. This also includes the free antenatal program rolled out by Bola Tinubu during his tenure. Tinubu has also initiated programs geared towards women empowerment to enable women to cope with the harsh economic realities and make them become better individuals beyond housewives in their different families. More importantly, women were reorientated towards self-employment. Given the foregoing, when Tinubu's track records of experience meets innovation from young minds, more so that he has chosen to work with an intelligent, Kashim Shettima is intelligent, very intelligent. He has chosen to work with an intelligent and highly talented running mate, Kashim Shettima. Nigeria will be better. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu knows how to drive security and the economy with young minds. Nigerian youth definitely will not regret supporting him come 2023. As a world-class world-class human capacity builder, Tinubu has also built men and women all over the country that it will be too numerous to mention. Informed by Tinubu's drive for empowerment, our country is at the phase where such economic transformation is required, and this is why we are fully convinced that Bola Tinubu is best suited to lead Nigeria in 2023. What Bola Tinubu has done for Lagos, he can move Nigeria to become the first largest economy in the world. If it can happen in Lagos, it can happen in Nigeria. On the other hand, enumerating the laudable achievements of Senator Kashim Shettima in the areas of education, agriculture, health, youth development over the years, as well as poverty alleviation and youth empowerment program embarked upon by Kashim Shettima is unprecedented. As governor of Borno State, which was ravaged by Boko Haram, which earned him the name wartime governor throughout his 8 years, Kashim Shettima did not allow the distractions from Boko Haram bombings and killings to stop him from achieving his developmental plans for the people of Borno State. In the words of Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani teenage girl shot in the head while she was riding the bus to school in October 2012. With guns, you can kill terrorists. With education, you can kill terrorism. Consequently, with over 53,000 orphans left behind by parents who were killed by Boko Haram, Kashim Shettima believed that if he did not educate these children, in a few years' time, they will grow up to become the Frankenstein monsters that will consume the entire state. Kashim Shettima therefore embarked on one of the most ambitious educational projects in the history of Borno State to cater for these out-of-school orphans. He built 44 world-class mega primary and secondary schools spread across the 3 senatorial zones. The mega schools were designed with state-of-the-art facilities, such as e-learning devices built with kayak technology that is customized with local curriculum, air conditioner systems, solar power panels, and other modern educational accessories. Daily meals, uniforms, and instructional materials were provided free to the pupils in the school to create an enabling teaching and learning environment. Over 2,000 teachers were recruited to teach in these schools. The schools were to systematically break the heart of Boko Haram, whose original motive of killing parents and abducting some of the orphans was to deprive them of education, so they grew into their ideology. Kashim Shettima believed that the surest way to fight Boko Haram is to continually provide qualitative education to more and more children. These mega school projects are currently being sustained by the current governor, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, who has equally built an additional 13 mega schools. While as governor, Kashim Shettima has also built 24 air-conditioned mega schools for 960 children of the Borno nomadic Fulanis, whose parents work as gate men or headers, so that they can have access to quality education in order not to follow the steps of their parents. Therefore, if we must address banditry in Nigeria in the long run, the Shettima model of educating children of headers and Borno is a panacea to ending criminality associated with banditry in Nigeria. On agriculture, Shetima, a banker and agroeconomist by training, a man with deep knowledge not only of the Nigerian economy, but also that of the world. As far back as 2012, Shetima had predicted the likelihood of a fall in revenue from oil and the value of Naira to the dollar. Hence, he imported agricultural produce valued at 30 billion Naira, which today are worth far more than 100 billion Naira. They include seedlings processing plants, sprinkler irrigation system, 500 rice mills, 1,000 tractors, harvesters, etc., etc. You will never find this huge number of agricultural implements in any state of the Federation today. Shetima had also sponsored youths to Thailand, Egypt, Benin Republic, and other places to learn mechanized agricultural technology. On security, as governor of Borno State, Shetima efficiently managed challenges arising from the Boko Haram insurgency, which he inherited in 2011. With the approval of the National Security Advisor and the Nigerian Army in 2013, his government formalized the establishment of youth volunteers called the civilian JTF. The volunteers have played a very significant role in supporting the military in ongoing fights against Boko Haram insurgency. He approved kits and patrol vehicles for the civilian JTF, while at the same time giving so much support to the Nigerian armed forces. Shetima he personally led in the mobilization of community-based intelligence gathering and the provision of hundreds of patrol vehicles and material logistics to the military in particular and to all other security agencies. In September 2014, Maiduguri, the seat of government, became vulnerable of being occupied and taken over by Boko Haram. The fear at that time was so intense that notable residents relocated with their families, dogs, and pets to Abuja. However, amidst such fright, Governor Kashim Shetima, who was out of the country for an official assignment, returned to Maiduguri in a show of courage and patriotism. He said he would rather die with his people On his return, the governor mobilized over 30,000 residents towards rising up in defense of their territory. Kashim Shetima thereafter inaugurated the Borno Youth Empowerment Scheme where over 20,000 youth vigilante members, popularly called civilian JTF, who have been assisting the security operatives in hunting down Boko Haram members in the state, were gainfully employed and placed on monthly salary to enable them to take care of their families. Since, as you know, most of the times, if there are threats to the city of Maiduguri, these youths who are mostly small income artisans will leave behind their jobs to go and defend the city. This community policing approach, which was first started by Kashim Shetima, if implemented at the broader national level, will greatly help in assisting security agencies in intelligence gathering and identifying bandits and terrorist hideouts with the view of nipping their activities in the bud. As incoming Vice President of Nigeria, Godwin, Shetima will be an asset to his boss, Bola Tinubu, in evolving better strategies aimed at ending insecurity bedeviling this country. Kashim Shetima's leadership credentials have also attracted positive recognition within and outside Nigeria. Shetima emerged the 2014 Governor of the Year Leadership Newspaper, Governor of the Year 2015 Nigeria Union of Journalists National Body, Governor of the Year 2015 Newswatch Times newspaper, Governor of the Year 2015 Vanguard newspaper, Governor of the Year 2016 Tel magazine, 2017 Zee Prize for Leadership, Kaduna NUJ Award for Courage and Exceptional Leadership, 2017 FCT NUJ Merit Award for Exceptional Leadership, 2017. He has also built men and women from all the regions of the country. I'm one of them. And these men are doing well in their respective fields of human endeavor today. In conclusion, there is an urgent need for strengthening citizen youth-centered governance. Citizen-centered governance means that institutions and processes are open and transparent, informed by citizens' views, and addresses people's needs. A youth-centered governance roadmap focuses on creating the enabling environment for responsible and accountable government. This includes supporting reforms that allow for greater democratic participation, decentralized public management, and the provision of citizen-friendly official information. Our approach to solving youth employment has not reaped many rewards because it doesn't consider this full, complex journey that young people face when transitioning from school to work. The rich civil society landscape, existing government interventions, and technological innovations are assets that, if better integrated and coordinated, could unlock job prospects for young people. Public employment programs have long been a key component of the government's strategy to tackle unemployment, and Tinubu's presidency remains the only option for actualizing it. At this junction, no single initiative can solve youth unemployment on its own. We must pinpoint the roadblocks in the path of so many of Nigerians' more than 20 million young people. Solving the youth unemployment crisis requires greater coordination and collaboration in pooling resources, knowledge, and experience to make the critical shift in the forthcoming presidential election. Tinubu Shetima's presidency is the answer. Thank you for listening to
Bola Ahmed Tinubu Youth Orientation Network, BATYON, presents our first inaugural conference. Theme: Nigeria's Democracy, Identity and Power, Building a Youth-Centric Future. Guest speaker: Honorable Christopher Godwin Akaba, Senior Special Assistant to the Executive Governor of Borno State on Jobs Creation and Youth Entrepreneurship. Venue: Ground Floor, LCCI Conference Center, Nuruddin Olowowe, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos. Date: August 3rd, 2022. Time: 10 a.m. prompt. BATYON, Youths for Ashiwaju, Ashiwaju for Youths.